Hello everyone, welcome back again. My name is Jesse, and in today's wonderful tutorial, we'll be trying to build a simple machine learning web application with flask-material, right? So it's going to be an array species predictor, and then we have the option of selecting the particular length, separ length. You can select the separ width, you can select the petal length, and then several of them. You also have the option of selecting a particular module. It can be logistic regression, KNN, or SVM, or any of them, and then you can click on the predict. It's going to give us the result here, right? So it's going to give us the parameters that we selected, then the particular species. So this is going to be a vesicular with an image there, so you can click on it and then it vanishes. You can also view the dataset or preview the dataset, which is just one. Then you can also go back perfectly. So that's what we're trying to build in this particular tutorial. So now let's see what we need. So to work with it, first of all, if you don't have Flask, you can just go with pip install Flask, and then you also need flask-material, right, to be able to have access to the Flask aspect. Then you also need pandas, site, sklearn, and several of them. So now let's see with it. Perfect. So if you go to, you just open your test editor. I've created a folder inside my test editor. I have this stuff here, right? I have my app, I have my template. Inside my template, I have two files. We have my index and preview. Then I also have a static folder. Inside the static folder, I have images. And then inside this image, we have the three species, there images here. And then also we have our data. So the data is going to be all the things that we work to produce the model. So we just have the models already saved. So KNN model, logistic regression model, and SVM. So these are the models that we'll be using. Okay, so now let's start with it perfectly. So on the app.py file, right, if you check from here, we have our app.py file, right? So inside our app.py file, we have all this stuff here. That's what we'll be starting with. Then our index file, there's nothing there. Preview, there's nothing there. So we'll be starting from this place. Okay. So to be able to work with flask-material, you need to import flask-material. So it's going to be like this. We need to import some. So from flask-material, import material. Right, that's going to be the first thing we need to import. And then we need to pass this material around our app so that we need to have access to it. So yeah, we wrap our app around flask-material, right? So now we can have access to use material inside our app, which is quite interesting. So let's save it and then let's run. Just copy this URL that we have here, and then we're going to paste it inside our browser. So let me close up this previous one. Perfect. So it's going to load perfectly for us without showing anything, because in our index file here we don't have anything here, right? So that is how to work with it. So we have our first route, which is going to be our index. To this index we have our preview route, and then I'm going to create another route, which is going to be our analysis route, right, which we'll be using to do our prediction. So I can call it predict or analysis. Let's make it predict or analysis. So let's call it as analyze, right? And the same thing we're going to be doing for this one. So analyze. Perfect. So this is going to be going back to our index file, not our preview. So index.html, right? Okay, perfect. So we have been able to create 3 basic routes. Okay, so to be able to work with, we also need some packages that we need. So some ML packages or EDA packages, and then ML packages, right? ML packages, and then our EDA packages. So for our EDA packages, we need to import pandas. So import pandas as PD, and then we also need to import numpy, right? We don't necessarily need the pandas, but because we want to preview it, that's why we are using the pandas. But for the numpy, it's very important because we have to convert our data set. You have to reshape it. So np. So that is for our EDA packages. And our ML packages, because we already have our data already saved here, right? Our models, we already have our models. We don't need to import anything. All that we need to import will be our external. So we can use pickle or Joblet. So I'm going to import this. So from from sklearn dot externals import job lib, right? Job lib, that's what we importing. Oops, perfect. So that's what we need to be able to work with our models, right? So we're using the job lib to load our models already. That is, or you can also use Pickle to do that. Okay, perfect. Now we have done with most of the backend. Now let's move to the front end. So to be able to have access to flask-material here, if I write something like, let's say ml web app, right? I save it and I run it. So that is showing here, right? ml web app is showing. So we want to be able to have access to flask-material. So first of all, we need to work with the extension. So just like we do in Bootstrap. So I'm going to create a simple Ginger. Then I'm going to create this, then extend. So inside the extends, I'm going to put in my material. So material slash base.html. The other stuff you can also use, but this is the basic stuff. With this, it's going to still work. And then the next thing I need to create is going to be our end block and our close block. So it's going to be this. So block, I can't even spell block content, and then we need our end block. End block, right? So that's all we need. So that is the basic thing. So everything we need to be doing will be inside in between this place. So let me copy this one, and then also because we work with some jQuery and then JavaScript, we also need to import that one also here. So this is going to be, instead of end block, going to be script. Then to allow the script to work, you also need to work with the super, right? So this, then super, okay, so that you have access to use our super here, right? So super, so all our JavaScript we placed in between this place. Perfect. So now let's see how to add some materialize to it. So to add some materialize, let's create a simple div, and this div is going to be a class of showcase, and then container, and then I'm going to give it a color, right? So let's give it a color of, let's say, purple. Then let's lighten it to maybe 3. Perfect. If I save it and then there's nothing, so let's create another div inside this div. I'm going to put in another class of row, and then I'm going to place another div here. So this div this is just for the design. This has nothing to do with machine learning. Okay, so column 12, and then ml for mobile, so m10 rather, not ml 10, and then offset ml, right, for mobile view, and then I'm going to center whatever I'm going to put in. So perfect. So now let's create a simple h2 tag, and I'm going to call it as iris predictor, right? Iris species predictor. Okay, perfect. And then let's put a simple p tag here. Oops. So machine learning is too long for the machine learning stuff, so let's make it ml web. Perfect. So if I save it here and I run it back again, because we have already extended it, you're going to see our flask-material. Perfect, which is quite nice, right? So if you open it, you can see that this is working perfectly. Nice. So that is the first aspect. You're able to bring flask-materialize inside. Okay. Now let's work with some other stuff. So we need a button. So I will need a button. So I'm going to create an href, and I'm going to create my route to reset it. So URL 4, and then to my index. This is going to be for a reset. And I'm going to create a class of, let's say, btn small or large, can be any of them. Then I'm going to give it a waves effect. It's supposed to be waves effect, and then I'm going to give it the last thing is going to be say waves dark, right? Perfect. So now let's call it as reset. So it's going to reset it perfectly. So if I go back and I refresh it, we're going to see that you're going to have our button here, right? Perfect. So let me duplicate this thing here. I'll duplicate this for the next one. Perfect. So now I'm going to make this one not index, but I'm going to make it as preview. To go to our preview to preview our dataset. So preview, and then here I'm going to call it as view more, right? View dataset. Perfect. So let's change this one from this is purple. Let's change this one to white. Then a purple test, so that we have some difference between the first one and the second one. So and then let's make this one purple. The other way around, right? Let's make this one purple and then white test. Okay, perfect. So we have been able to do this. I'm going to copy the same thing here and then put it inside our preview, which is going to be almost the same thing. Then I will need to take off this stuff here. I'm going to take off the preview because we are already in the preview. Don't need to view the dataset files, we are in the preview. And I'm going to change this one to back. So this is going to be back. Hazard, right? Hazard in Russian. Perfect. Okay. Now we are done with it. Perfect. We are going to do some stuff with it. Now let's see what you have done so far. So if I go back and I refresh it, perfect. So it's working also. Click on the view dataset. It will move us to the preview. Then I can come back to it. So we are going to do with the basic stuff. Now let's see the ideology behind it, right? So to work with the preview is quite simple. So with the preview, we're just going to use pandas. So df pd.read csv, and then inside the csv I'm going to go to my data slash my iris dataset, right? Slash iris.csv. This data here is this folder here, right? And inside this folder we have iris.csv. That is what we'll be doing here. So we're going to load our dataset there. Then I'm going so perfect. I have to send it to our files for it to be able to see. So I'm just going to go with this. Then I've got df view. I'm calling that df view, like preview. Then to df. So I'll be sending this df view here to here, right? So that you'll be able to see it here. So let's create something simple here. Create a simple div. So div. Then this div is going to be of a class of container. Perfect. And then I'm going to put my stuff here, my ginger here, right? So df view to HTML, and I'm going to give the class of table strip, and then this NA is going to separate it perfectly and save. So if I save it and I come back to run it, this working. So if I go to view datasets, perfect. So that's working well. Without these ones here, if I take off this thing here and I make it like this, you see that if I run it, it's going to work, but it's not going. You're not going to see it. Or it's going to be in this format, simple, unrendered, right? So this thing here allows it for this allow it to render it well in a perfect way. This with this command here that we have. Okay, perfect. Now it's working well. Now you're done with one to go. You have been able to do it one. So let's go back and check with our index file. So we need to create a form to allow us to see whatever thing there, to be able to do our changing of our values. So the first one is going to be, you can create a section to do that. So let's call it as a section. You can spell section. Then inside the section I'm going to create a div. Perfect. So since we have the same features, right, but we want to be able to change the features, so we're going to create a ring to do that. So I'm going to create it as input. I'm going to create a form first of all. Then inside this form, the form will take a method of post, and then post an action to our route, which is going to be URL for then we are sending it to analyze, right? That's what we are sending it to. Perfect. And we are going to work with our form. So I'll create a simple div. I'm going to create a simple div. Then inside this div, I'm going to create a class of input. It's very important that you give this class input field, right? Then I'm going to give my input. So input, then the type is not going to be number, but the type here is going to be range. That's what we're going to do. Then we're going to give it a minimum value of, let's say, 0 based on our data set, and then our maximum value of 8, right? And I'm going to give it a step. So the step is going to be the interval that I want it to be, so which is going to be 0.1. then that is all. So I set a value of 0 as a default value. Perfect. So if I close it, and then that is it. So if I save it and I run it and see, I'm going to see that we'll be able to see the range, right? You're saying that you can see the range, but as you go here, it's showing the range perfectly, right? Which is quite interesting. It's not that bad. So it is working perfectly. So that is one of the ways of doing it. If I omit this here, right? If I omit this class and I save it and I run it, you see that it will not be able to work perfectly well. It's working, but you can't see the values, right? That's the essence of that input field. You can't see the values. You can see that it is at the top here, but you can't see the values itself. So that is why we are putting it inside our input field, right? One thing that we also need is that we also need a p tag, a paragraph tag. You can also add a paragraph tag to give it the range field, right? And then it's going to be a class of range field, right? That is going to give us our range field. That can also help us to work in the same format. So the two of them is important and two of them is needful. So that is working perfectly well. Perfect. So that is how to do that. Now let's give it a label. The label is going to be our sepal. Can't spell sepal. Sepal, right? Perfect. So that's going to be our label, and we also need a submit button. So it's going to be our first div, then the next is going to be our input, type of submit, and then the value is going to be value. Let's call it a submit, right? Submit or predict. It can be any of them. Submit. Then let's give the class. So class of btn small. I can't spell it. Small, and then let's give it a waves effect, and then a waves dark. Let's close it. Let's check and see. First, so we have a submit button and we have sub. So whatever I put here, it is going to work well. But this that we have done, right? Even if I change it and I move it up and down, you realize that we can't do anything. This value is not being sent anywhere. So you need to be able to attach this particular value to something. So to be able to attach this particular value, we have to give it a name. So name, then the name of it. So sepal. This is very, very important. Without this, whatever you're going to do will stay inside this place. It will not be able to go anywhere. Right? So if I click on this submit, now that value will be able to be submitted to analyze. Okay, perfect. Now let's work at the back place here. So to work with on analyze, we need a method, right? So the method here was the method we used was post, right? So post, that's what we were using. Perfect. So we had a method called post, and then now we have to be able to receive all those details that are coming. So we're going to go to if request dot method, right? Not methods, is equal to our post. Then do distance. Then take, let's go sepal length. then sepal. Then we're going to go with request dot form into brackets into bracket this particular name that we stored here, this name that we had here, right? So all these names, this name is what is going to be stored, placed inside this our bracket here. So it's going to be stored inside this particular name, and then I can actually bring this thing back here as sepal length is equal to sepal length, right? If I save it and then we come back to our preview here, then below this place inside this is our first division, right? So inside, let's create another division. This division is going to be a class of, say, column, giving it a different column, so a column 12, something different, right? And then I'm going to put in my value here. So the value I need to put there is going to be my sepal length, right? So if I save it and I run it, perfect. So the value that I put here, so if I change the value here, then I submit, it's going to analyze, and then you see that the value has been brought here, right? I don't know whether I can see it. The value has been brought here. Okay, perfect. So now we need to be able to structure it to make it nicer. Okay, so now let's work on it, on the structuring. We have been able to get a sepal length, so I'm going to repeat these ones for all the 3 different features. You realize that if you look at our analyze, our preview here, we have sepal length, sepal width, petal length, petal width, right? So these are the 3 stuff that we have. So it's supposed to follow this particular order if you are trying to analyze, work on analysis. So I'll create one for all of these things to receive all of these data. So let me copy and paste. Perfect. So if I save it and I come back to here, I run it here, back, perfect. So now we have all of them working perfectly, right? We have our sepal stuff, petal stuff, and then all of these things are working. So it's the same idea that we did, but the only thing I did was that I repeated them perfectly. So if you check it, it's going to give us the same thing. So we have a div of input field range, then a type, and then I've attached the name to it, right? I've given it a maximum value and a minimum value. So this is Materialize, but in case you are doing it inside not Materialize, something different, it would have been something like this. So that is output. Yeah, you also have to bring an output, then you equate it to it, right? So that you to see the values there. But because of the Materialize is going to handle the range for us, the showing of these values for us, the showing of these things, the Materialize will handle it for us. Perfect. Now there's one thing that you also need to do, that you realize that we have here our input field, right? Inside this our input field here, we have the ability to select options. So this is going to be a normal select. There's a normal JavaScript stuff, a normal HTML stuff. Then I'm attaching it to a model name, and I'm assigning different values, individual values based on the model. So we have logistic model, KNN, and then SVM. So these things are going to be attached, but if you come back to this place, you realize that you can't see it here, right? The reason you can't see it is because for Materialize, the select option requires a JavaScript function to allow it to work. So we go back to our below here to our block, right? Inside our end block here, right? And then where our script are, then we're going to place in our JavaScript stuff to allow it to work. So I'll copy and just use jQuery, because you can use jQuery or you can use normal vanilla JavaScript to allow it to work. You copy those links from CDN or any place, and then to allow it to work. So I'll copy it and paste it here, right, so that it will work perfectly. So if you look at it, we have our normal script is from CDN, it's going to be jQuery, and then this is going to be Materialize. You can also add Materialize to it, although it's working with Materialize. And then this is going to be our normal vanilla JavaScript. You can use the normal vanilla JavaScript, or I prefer the jQuery, which is quite simple. You can also use jQuery. So the moment I save it and I come back to this place and I run it, you realize that you'll be able to see it. Let's go back here and then let's run. Perfect. See that you'll be able to see our model, right? So now we can be able to select our model perfectly. It's going to work. So any of them is going to be attached to a value, and then it's going to work perfectly for us. It's going to be attached to this value, whatever you select attached to this value, send through this, then to our app file. So we have been able to work with our front end. Now let's see one thing that we also need to do. We have to be able to create a form to be able to receive this thing, right? So we'll come back to our app.py here. Then inside our app.py, we will need to duplicate these ones for petal and then zepal and all of these things. Duplicate it for all of these things. So I'll just paste it there. Perfect. So we now have for petal, which is going to be receiving it from our petal. Then we have for zepal, yeah, for all of these things are going to receive. The model.choice is coming from our model that we are selecting here. Right, perfect. Now we have been able to receive them, but to be able to analyze them, to allow it to work, we need to make sure that they correspond with our data set. Otherwise, if you put different values in different places, it's going to see it as totally different. So it must follow this particular sentence, how your data set was, right? It's supposed to follow it perfectly so that you'll be able to see it well. So you must follow this particular line. So let me copy this one, and then let's create a different sample data. Sample data. Then this sample data is going to be follow this format, right? So I'll put it here. Now this is going to give it as collect them together, but you realize that it's going to save it as a Unicode format, but we don't need a Unicode. We need to change it from Unicode to float, right? So how do you do that? You can just use a normal stuff. You can just use a normal array to do that. So I'm going to call that clean data, and this clean data is going to just take the normal stuff. So a normal complex comprehension is going to be our I. So float and I, float I, you are putting it as that. Then for I in our sample data, right? So this is rather a clean format. So it is on this that you'll be trying to work and analyze. But this format is going to give us, we are supposed to reshape this. This is just going to convert it from Unicode to float, right? So we need to convert it. We need to reshape it, rather reshaping. So that's where the numpy comes inside. So to reshape it, it's going to be, let's go to ES1. Then let me go up. It's going to be numpy, right? np dot array. We're going to pass in our our data that we had, ES1 dot reshape. So we are reshaping it based on the individual. We are not shaping it as a single individual feature, but we are shaping it as a single sample. So we are collecting all the individual features together and creating it as a sample. So it's going to be 1 minus 1. So in case it was individual features that we are sending, it's going to be negative 1 and then 1, right? And 1. But this is the other way around. It will be 1, 1, and then negative 1, because we are collecting all of them as individual features collected together as one single sample. Okay, perfect. So now we are done. So now from here we'll be able to work with our machine learning stuff. So we're using a job lib to be able to work with it, to be able to analyze it. So since this is a choice, right, we have to create an if conditional to be able to receive the choice. So it's going to be like this. So let's call it as our conditional for model, right? ML. So the model that we want to select is going to be if model, right? If model.choice is equal to logit model, right? Logit model is coming from here. Logit model here, right? So that is where it's coming from. So if that is the case, then do this thing. So what do I want to do? Then if that is the case, I want you to go to, let's call it as logit model. Let's make it small m. Right, logit model, that's the variable I'm storing, and I want you to use job lib, and then load it. Load that our model. So I'm going to load it from our data slash logit model iris.pickle. Right, so this is coming from here. It's coming from inside our data. We have our logit model dash iris, right? So all our models are going to be the same format. So after loading that model, then I'm going to give it a result prediction. So result prediction is going to be our model that we have loaded. So logit model, right, dot predict. Then we're going to pass in our value, the one we have reshaped here. So predict yes, 1. Perfect. So it is with this result prediction that we'll be sending to our render template here. So result prediction. So result prediction is equal to result prediction. Perfect. So that is what we'll be sending here to allow it so that we'll be able to see it working. Perfect, right? So this is going to be for all our models. So I'm going to do the same thing for the remaining aspect of the models. Save it and then perfect. So we have been able to load all of them. So if it is KNN, then load it. If it is SVM, then load it. You can also use it for else, right? That if it's, let's make it as else. Else, if it's nothing, I want you to load the logistic regression. That is, if there's no result produced, load this particular stuff. Perfect. That if you don't select anything, you're going to still use the default as default. Okay, perfect. Now we have been able to work with it. So we are sending our clean data, we are sending our result prediction, and we are sending our model select choice. So we need to be able to bring our prediction here, right, into our index file. So I've already copied and pasted it. So this is going to be our sepal stuff, sepal length, petal length, and all of these things here. And then this is just normal materialize, right? So we're going to create a card and the paper stuff. Then for our prediction, just going to use a normal if condition, right? So if result of prediction is equal to versicolor, then give me this image. So this image is coming from our static folder, which is here, and then inside our static we have images, right? So if the result is equal to versicolor, go and look into this static images folder and search for versicolor. If the result is setosa, for setosa. Else if it is virginica, give me virginica. Else if there is nothing, just give me nothing, right? Then you end it with an if, which is very, very important. So that is the basic idea about it. So now let me save it and then let's run it and see. So I will go back and check and see whether it's going to work. So let's go back and check and see. Perfect. So everything is working perfectly, right? So we have it here. So let's change the C here and then let's give it some values. Select the model, KNN, predict. Perfect. So it's giving the values here perfectly in a very nice format, and then it's giving us the image as versicolor, right? Which is this versicolor. Okay. So you can actually click on it and then it appears. So this is coming from the Materialize. Okay. So that is the basic idea about it. So let's go back and then reset. And it's working perfectly, right? Everything is working. So the main idea is that you first of all need to get this thing to work, right? The range, so that to allow for us to be able to see this particular moving of these things, all we need is just to create a div class of input field and then range field and then a range, right? Giving it the range, you give it a minimum value, maximum value based on your data set and the step. Then you give it as a name, a specific name. So this name is going to be bound to that range, sent via post, and then through the form to our app.py here, right? So to be received here, all the values, then we need to convert them into floats, and then we need to reshape them so that it becomes one simple sample. Then we will need to loop through our model that we had here. We had some models here, right? Inside our data, we had different models. Based on the choice we chose, it's going to work perfectly for us. So that is the main idea behind it. So thank you for watching. If you have any question or contribution, you can just put it inside the comment section so that everybody can benefit.